Our new sponsor at NGSC Sports is Cool Eye Cover, and as you can imagine, we are talking sunglasses. The perfect time for our sponsor is summer, as we all need those sunglasses. Our sponsor even has a great deal as an NGSC Sports partner. If you email esgmarketingsolutions at gmail.com, they will give you a 50% discount on your first pair of sunglasses. Visit www.cooleyecover.com and choose your glasses to receive the discount and email esgmarketingsolutions at gmail.com for the discount coupon. We thank Cool Eye Cover for joining NGSC Sports as our new sponsor. This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
This never gets old. Oh, go watch like the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development. It's fantastic.
Stop there.
Yeah, kind of actually. Welcome to the Foreign Affair podcast, not Arrested Development. Although sometimes we have said things that could potentially have gotten us arrested. My name is Edward Green, rejoined by McCullen Crime, Wes Bradshaw. We're finally back together after our great summer in the wilderness and a bunch of USA chanting. We are back. We are going to do this pod right, and we're going to have some fun today. We're going to be talking maybe a little bit, just since we haven't really had a chance to be together and talk about some of the summer tournaments that happened. We'll do the bottom 5 teams of the Premier League, because got to get those Premier League grades in, because we're less than a month away from this tournament next year. So
This is how we roll, though.
right on time as always. Then we'll hit the news and notes in our little transfer corner area, and so there's some big transfer news coming out here. Then we'll hit the watch for, and maybe so raw, maybe.
Yeah, because I guess we do need to hit things, but
All right.
yeah.
A very small so raw. So that'll do it for this podcast. Hey, before we get started, as always, I want to thank our presenters, including NGSC Sports. At ngscsports.com, we never stop. As well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. Do you need... what's happened recently? I don't know. Anything happened this weekend in the world of sports? I don't know.
The All-Star game was last week.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Who won the home run derby? I forgot. Harper? No.
Pete Alonso.
Yeah, if you...
No, Bryce Harper had absolutely no part in any of the All-Star games.
that's right. Hey, if you're a Mets fan and you need something to be proud of, and it's finally happened for you this year, hey, celebrate Pete Alonso winning the home run derby by going to Alicia's Pills and Things and seeing if she'll get you a great Mets-like body pillow to hug. So that'd be great. You can find more deals at Alicia's Pills and Things on Facebook, as well as at NGSC Sports. And Wes, we have another new sponsor since you've not been live.
What?
Wes, what season is it?
Summer summertime.
Yeah, that's right. It's summertime. Nailed it. First try.
We
And
do so much prep for this show. It's not funny.
And as always, because it's summertime, hey, it's bright outside. You know, when Wes and I are working men, so we spend a lot of time indoors. But when we go outdoors, we want to protect our eyes. And what better place to go than CoolEyeCovers.com? They have all the latest deals for you. So go check them out at CoolEyeCover.com to get your sunglasses for the summer. And lastly, hey, I've told you by now, if you don't have at least 300 Rokus in your house, you're doing something wrong, okay? You need one in the bedroom, one in the bathroom, at least 3 in the living room, 4 in the kitchen probably, because you got to cover all those cabinets. You need these Roku TVs, and when you get them, head up the Ultimate Sports Channel. You can find them on Roku by just searching the Ultimate Sports Channel. You can also find them at esgsportsgroup.com and on the social media at Nasha Sports. I should probably stick to the readers sometimes, but whatever. Speaking of things that did not totally stick to script, and some things that did, let's hit the 2018-19 Premier League season in review. Yeah. Oh, thank you. So we're going to start from the bottom, just like Drake, as we always do. This week we're going to take the bottom 5 teams, and we are going to assign them letter grades, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of what these teams went through over the course of the season. Wes, let's start with one of the more feel-good stories from the 2017-18 season that could not translate that success into their second year in the Premier League. That was the 20th place team, Huddersfield Town. David Wagner, gone in mid-season. An absolutely anemic offense. Just 22 goals, more than 10 off the pace of the next fewest. And then they shipped in 76 more to have the worst goal differential in the league. Not the most goals, but second worst. And only won 3 matches all season, as in their second season, they do drop back down to the championship. And part of me wants to give them an F, because if you're that bad over the course of an entire season, you probably deserve it. I'm going to go with a D, though. Because this team was also bad the year before and had no business staying up then, and just caught a few teams off guard. I think they beat United 2 seasons ago, and got some big wins early to stay afloat. I think this was the more natural outcome. So, kind of buoyed by that, I think we all expected this to kind of sort of happen. So, I kind of hit back down into a sort of D. Wes, what do you think about it, though?
You know, the way I see it is, to me, if you're relegated, that's an automatic F.
Okay.
I mean,
that's fair.
That is the bare minimum for every team in the Premier League is to find a way to stay in the Premier League for the next season. And if you can't do it, I understand financial restraints, I understand this, I understand that, but if you can't stay in the league, then you have failed. That's the bare minimum of your job, is to stay in the league. So to me, the Terriers get an F. 2 years in the Premier League, the miracle to stay up, season 1, I think we gave them a really nice grade just for staying up a year ago. So this year they have to suffer the consequences. They're an F. It was almost inevitable it was going to happen.
Yeah.
This is a team, even surviving a year in the Premier League, they did not make themselves any better, hardly at all, in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have quite that magic that they had the year before. And, especially once they made the managerial change in mid-season, you kind of knew it was over.
Yeah.
It was going to happen. Guys who had good seasons the year before to keep them up, they came back down to earth, and it was just they just weren't good enough. At the end of the day, they weren't good enough. It wasn't that they had it wasn't like another team we'll talk about, Fulham, where they invested a lot of money and it just kind of went to shit and just nothing happened for them. I mean, I really think Huddersfield were very happy to stay in the Premier League, but never had any real long-term plans. And really, when you start looking at some of the things that they're doing this summer with their transfer business, it looks like this isn't going to be a team that is even really entertaining the idea of bouncing directly back to the Premier League. I think they're going to be a couple-year project I think they're setting themselves up to get back into the Premier League in a few years. But I think this team, they rode a great wave to A, get themselves in the Prem, B, stay in the Prem. But that was a wave that was always going to crash, and I think they realized that, and I think they're thankful. They're just thankful for what they were able to do.
Makes sense.
So, for the Terriers, we'll kind of say goodnight to David Wagner and his visions. And to Huddersfield Town, we'll say goodbye for a couple seasons at least until they're going to be a real story to potentially find themselves back to the Premier League.
Well, and we'll have to say the same thing potentially about Fulham, and that's a team you mentioned, Wes, and that's where we'll go next year. The 19th place team in the league did finish 10 points above Huddersfield, but only 1 place higher. Shipped in the most goals in the Premier League with 81 allowed. That is 5 more than Huddersfield allowed, and only put 34 in. That was tied for second fewest. And Wes, I think when I think of my grade for Fulham, I come back to something you said just a few minutes ago, and about how much they spent in the summer, and guys they brought in like Andre Schürrle, and we talked so much about a guy like Ryan Sessegnon, and I think there was actually a decent amount of optimism about Fulham, and they just came in and landed flat on their faces. I'm actually going to go a step further than what you said about if you're relegated you get an F. I'm giving them an F-. This team should have been better. I don't know that they could have avoided the drop. This was actually a pretty tough Premier League season, but there's no way that for the money they spent that they couldn't have done better. So I'm giving Fulham an F-.
Well, to that score, Ed, I can only mention the Simpsons meme where stop it, he's already dead.
Yeah.
F-. Jesus, that's like a few maybe really angry teachers that
I was
had
just
in high school.
I was super unimpressed by Fulham, and I
I think we both had high
Yeah.
expectations for Fulham.
Yeah.
I think we both definitely felt they would definitely keep themselves up, and that this is a team that could do somewhat like Wolves and battle for that mid-table.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it didn't happen. I completely agree with that F rating. I mean, if you want to talk about definitely the most underwhelming team,
Yeah.
especially out of the relegated teams, but maybe in the entire Premier League, it was Fulham. They had, Alexander Mitrovic had a good season for them, the big Serbian. He scored goals for them. It wouldn't. I can't remember if he's actually made a move this summer or not, but you figure that guy's not going to stay in the Championship. He's a Premier League level striker.
Mm-hmm.
He did his job. There were some other guys who did their jobs, but there were just so many who didn't. And I mean, you want to talk about a piss poor defense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but then you look at the midfield. You look at some of those big names that they signed. The key one, everyone knows Andre Schürrle.
Right.
I mean, the guy's won a World Cup with Germany. Played for Chelsea. Has played at Wolfsburg. You figure he was going to come in and kind of boss this team, and he was gonna do really big things. He sucked.
He was really bad.
Oh, he was bad. Jean-Michel Seri, who an off-season before was linked with the likes of Barcelona and Liverpool, and he ends up on a pretty big money move going to Fulham, and you're like, this guy is going to be a great step up in class for Fulham, and he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
I think he's gone like or maybe he's on the way out to like Olympiacos or something. They're desperately trying to get rid of him. He was really poor. Definitely not anywhere near a Barcelona or Liverpool type level from that player. They were bad. Now that said, Fulham have some nice pieces. Key among them, Ryan Sessegnon, who may still move. I believe if he does make a move this summer, I think he's going to Tottenham.
Agreed.
I think that's kind of the feeling is if he makes a move, he's going to go to Tottenham, which would be, I think, a really nice pickup for Spurs. And I think that would be a good place for him to go to continue A, his development, and B, getting into a big club. They debuted the youngest player to ever play in the Premier League near the end of the season. At that time, I believe he had just turned 16, Harvey Elliott, who is an up-front attacker. And, for his sake, he's getting the hell out of Fulham. He looks signed, sealed, and delivered to go to Liverpool himself, to go into, potentially the first team. Most likely will be playing under 23s and still be at the academy, but, he's a really highly, highly rated young English talent. So, don't get me wrong, Fulham had some good, young, talented players, but it's just the guys that they spent money on, just so disappointed.
Yeah.
Just so disappointed. Big time. If Huddersfield, if you wanted to give Huddersfield a little bit of a feel-good just because of the lack of money and the lack of investment, I could see maybe giving them that D-. But like you said, for Fulham, if an F- was there, then, you'd throw Fulham on that F- all day. They suck this season.
Before we move on to our next team, I do want to mention, I just looked up, Mitrovic actually just in the last little bit signed a 5-year deal with Fulham. So apparently,
never mind that.
Let me make sure of that, because actually now that I'm saying that seems so weird. Like, it looked weird at the time, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, in July 2019, he signed a new 5-year contract with Fulham. So that's, I guess he's looking at it as maybe Fulham could be a team to rebound, but I don't know if they're good enough, especially after this kind of a disaster sort of season, and especially if they lose a guy like Sessegnon and some of their young players.
Right.
So.
Right. And that's what it's going to come down to is, it's just going to come down to what they can consolidate.
Right. Well, a team that is going to have to consolidate a little bit as they make their way back down to the championship in 18th place by just a few points missing out on safety were Cardiff. And if Fulham were the team of some big names that just abjectly failed, Cardiff was just this bland sort of white paste that painted itself across the Premier League for a season to be dropped right back down to the championship. There's not a whole lot to say about Cardiff. They were here. They weren't super bad. I know that sounds really disingenuous to say, but it didn't seem like they were really poor. It almost sometimes seemed like maybe they can jump out of relegation a little bit. They beat Wolves. They beat Leicester on the road. They beat Manchester United on the last day of the season. So there were some good moments in there for Cardiff, but just so many losses, and even some like very close losses. Losing 3-2 early in the season at home to Arsenal on a late goal from Alexander Lacazette. Losing 3-2 at Watford. Drawing Huddersfield, which is just bad at home. You can't do that. And then losing at Arsenal 2-1. That could have been massive for them if they could have taken some points off Arsenal like so many other teams did. Boom, gotcha again, Arsenal. But Cardiff just had this very bland season, so I'm fine with giving them an F. They didn't offend me in any way when I watched them, and I'm sure part of that, except for Neil Warnock. Neil Warnock highly offended me.
Yeah,
but
no one is more offensive than Neil Warnock, actually.
Other than that, nothing about this team really offended me, but nothing really got me excited about it either. So I'll just give them a middle of the road F and kind of say au revoir, Bluebirds. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, once again, as I said, they're going to get an F.
Yep.
Just because, your job was to stay up. That said, if there was anyone actually out of the promoted teams, I think Wolves achieved about what we thought they would. Obviously, we said Fulham massively underachieved. I don't think you would have found very many people who would have thought Cardiff were going to stay up. So, to me, the fact that they were the 18th place team and they only finished 2 points from safety. Now, part of that was one of the teams was talking about coming up Brighton, just literally acting like they didn't want to stay in the Premier League to be team of the world. And also, Cardiff, to their credit, they, especially late in the season, they lost some tough matches to teams that were just clearly better than them. I mean, I believe they gave Man City literally all they wanted.
Did we watch?
That was a late in the season match.
Did we watch them lose on a? Yeah, we watched them lose a heartbreaker to Chelsea at the.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were just some matches where they weren't expected to win, but they almost did.
Yeah.
They had a good performance, and it just ended up not going their way, and just a few points here and there, and they could have shocked. Now, that would have been the shock of shocks if Cardiff had stayed up. But at the end of the year, I mean, it was a season of not to be. The worst moment of their season, even worse, obviously, than the relegation, was the death of their new signing in January, Emiliano Sala. Died in a plane crash literally on the way to sign for him. And that freaking sucked.
Yeah.
I think the word of the year for Cardiff was inconsistent.
Yeah.
They were just too inconsistent. Neil Etheridge, their keeper, had an amazing season. I mean, he was one of the standout goalkeepers of the Premier League this year.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But at the end of the day, having the amazing goalkeeper is great, but you got to do something in front of him eventually. Harry Arter was a guy they had brought over from Bournemouth, and he was supposed to really be a big boost for them. And he had a poor season on loan. They just didn't have a lot of quality, especially up front.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I mean, they paid for it. They paid for it at the end of the day. And they go back down. Neil Warnock is back where he truly belongs in the championship. and complaining the entire way there.
Oh, yeah.
So, nothing, no shock there.
No. So, but you mentioned the team that finished just above them. That is Brighton and Hove, the first team in safety position, 17th place. They managed to, again, finish 2 points ahead of Cardiff. An interesting season for Brighton. As you said, Wes, they kind of fell apart towards the end of the season, didn't win a match after their March 9th match at Crystal Palace, where they won 2-1. They dropped matches at home to Southampton, lost 5-0 at home to Bournemouth, 2-0 at home to Cardiff, which could have almost been the turnaround Cardiff needed. And not a whole lot of bright spots. I mean, hey, they beat Everton, so there's that, I guess. And they did get a nice 3-2 win over Manchester United back in the second match of the season, back when they still had Mourinho, if you can imagine back that far. But this Glenn Murray-led team did manage to stay up, and, should be noted, they did make a run to the FA Cup semifinals where they lost 1-0 to Manchester United on a 4th-minute goal from Jesus. So I'm going to give them a D+. They stay up. They made it. You know what? No, I'm going to give them a C- for the FA Cup run. I'm going to give them a C-. It could have been better if they hadn't ended the season so poorly, but they do stay up. They did make a run in a cup, and they'll be back next year to try again. So I will give them a C-.
I can't push them into that C level.
Okay, that's fair.
Originally, I gave them a D-.
Okay.
Just because of how terrible they were late in the season.
Yeah.
But I will push them up to a D+ because of that cup run.
Okay.
Because we are kind of taking a lot of other things into effect here. I'll give them a D+ based on the cup run, but this was a season where yes, they did their bare minimum. They survived.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Brighton expected more, and nothing proved that more than the fact that, yes, they stayed up and then fired Chris Hughton.
Yeah.
So that tells you that the ownership, the management group was not pleased with how this season went. And, this has come from a team who had a good start to the season. And this is a group that's going to need to improve if they're going to want to hang around next year, because just looking at the teams that are coming up, there are a couple teams coming up with the championship that we're going to expect to, really have a good chance to stay up this year. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, then, okay, Brighton, you're on the way back down unless you get better. Their back line wasn't bad. Mm-hmm. They did well defensively, considering they had really no striker and their midfield was like week to week. You didn't know what you were going to get.
Right.
So they can give it all up to their defense. Matt Ryan, their keeper, had a really good season. I mean, he's another one, kind of like we just talked about with Neil Etheridge. They're lower in the league, but I mean, these guys are, they're really good keepers. Mm-hmm. They're keepers that can make a lot of teams ahead of them even better. So for Matt Ryan, he did have a really good season. Lewis Dunk, Shane Duffy at the back. They were able to provide just enough to keep Brighton up, but now they've brought in a new manager. As we said, they've got to find a way to improve themselves if they want to stay up for another year. So a really big start to the season coming up for Brighton to see if they've found some improvement.
Yeah, it'll be their 4th straight season in the Premier League, and as you said, Wes, if they're not careful, it could be their last one for a little bit. Finally, we end tonight with the 16th place team, and that is Southampton, a team that has definitely been on a sort of downward trajectory since they were sort of the darling up-and-comers of the Premier League. They've obviously lost a lot of parts. They even ones we didn't think were that big, aka the Dusan Tadic, going to Ajax and becoming a giant killer as part of that great team. So this team has just barely found a way to stay up. They still have guys like Nathan Redmond and Shane Long and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. But after that, and they did bring in Danny Ings, I believe. After that, there's not a whole lot to them. Had very short cup runs in both their cups. Went just a couple matches into the League Cup and got knocked out in their first round of the FA Cup. Not a whole lot of good to speak of in the Premier League. They did have a win over Spurs late on, and a win over Wolves in the back half, which kind of helped prop them up, and they did end the season on a good note, I guess, if you consider drawing 3 out of your final 4 matches a good note. But hey, they did what they needed to do to stay up. I'm going to give them a D+. I think Southampton kind of needs to start figuring out what they are. I know there is some value in staying at like the bottom of the Premier League table and cashing that big broadcast contract. But at a certain point, they have to think about, do we need to just start developing the next generation of Southampton talents that will eventually be picked off by Liverpool? And is a better place to potentially do that maybe in the Championship, where we can win some more games and be more competitive? Or do we need to just try everything we can to continuously stay up in the Premier League and maybe hit on a few guys? Maybe we get some big transfers come in, because, hey, they are still a Premier League team, and that is a destination spot in the world. So I think Southampton is in a very big crossroads right now, especially with the way they're not keeping managers very well. They're not keeping players super well. And with a couple straight finishes in the bottom half of the table, Southampton need to refine their identity, and I don't know that this season will give them many answers.
As for the season that just passed,
Sure.
I'm giving them a D.
Okay.
Just because they had a lot of upheaval during the season. They did replace their manager midway through. They were extremely inconsistent. Their front three was very. Their front three should have given them a lot more than they did. They were so isolated up there. It's like midfield could not connect with that front three. And by the front three, I mean Shane Long, Charlie Austin, Danny Ings, that group. And I don't call them a front three so much. They're your strikers, and that, they were really heavily rotated. So it kind of seemed like no one could ever get into a real groove out of that group. But that's also where I draw a little bit of inspiration for this coming season for them. Their manager, Ralph Hasenhüttl, the Alpine Klopp, apparently.
Sure.
This is a guy who has some pedigree as a manager. Came from RB Leipzig, where he got them into the Champions League. Played some really, really good football there. Was really building a nice team in the Bundesliga. They got him in the middle of the season, and for me, I think a lot of people found some disappointment after some nice early results. But to me, the guy inherited a team that was in a shit spot. He kept them out of the relegation zone. And now I think for Hasenhüttl, this is a season that, I need to get some guys in and I need to take a step forward. They're going to know how to play my system. I'm going to see who I want, who I don't want, and we're going to have to go from there. There's some talk out of their camp that Charlie Austin is not happy. May want to move on, may want to do something, but he's been pretty much cut off from the rest of the squad at this point because of his demands and his attitude. So, might not be seeing Charlie Austin for Southampton this year. Danny Ings now with a season under his belt, a full season of playing. His loan from Liverpool has become officially a sale to Southampton. I've always liked Danny Ings. Oh my gosh, I thought Danny Ings could have been a good player at Liverpool. Just the damn injuries kept just killing him.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be able to settle in, and I really want to see Danny Ings succeed. And apparently now for years it was Southampton supplying Liverpool. Now it suddenly seems like it's Liverpool supplying Southampton with players.
Yeah.
We've kind of moved to a different store.
Yeah.
We're no longer shopping at the Southampton Walmart. Liverpool, we've kind of started. We've started shopping back at Harrah's again, apparently. This year, more in the children's department.
Yes.
But hey, what can you say? Some bright point for Southampton. Once again, I think Hasenhüttl back this year. I think that could really help them. James Ward-Prowse is emerging as a guy who's going to be an option for England. A fantastic set piece guy. Which, when you're a team who is playing more at the bottom of the table, you've got to take advantage every time you've got something. And having that guy who's great at set pieces, that's what you need. And James Ward-Prowse is that guy. And he's somebody who can, he can rescue you points or he can win you matches.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to figure after last season was somewhat his breakout season, that hopefully for him and hopefully for Southampton, he's ready to kind of take that next step and start to, maybe push them back toward the mid-table. And, hopefully for Ward Prowse, that means he'll get his move to Liverpool.
Yeah, there you go. Just to jump on your points real quickly here, mentioning about the front guys not really getting it fully done from the striker position. Nobody on Southampton with double-digit goals over the entire season. Ings and Ward-Prowse were both the joint leading scorers with 7 goals apiece. Also, only 2 players appeared in more than 30 matches for the team. That was Redmond and Højbjerg. So not a ton of consistency coming from this team and shuffling a lot of pieces. And as for Hasenhüttl, excuse me, as you said, he comes in. They had won 1 match under Mark Hughes under his reign, and he comes in mid-December and wins 8 matches the rest of the way, which was obviously enough to keep them up, and that was a big deal. So we'll see what they can do with a full season under his tutelage. So that'll do it for our Premier League grades for now. Next week, we'll be picking a couple teams from the mid-table to talk about. We'll give them all grades, but we're going to run really quickly through some of these teams, and then we'll slow down and talk about a few more of them. So that'll be next week on the pod.
And I would like to point out that right now, as recording the pod, I'm watching my first club match of the 2019-2020 season. That's right, the most important trophy in football, the International Champions Cup.
Hell yeah. Just Tottenham Hotspur, defending title holders of the ICC.
Title holders, well, right now we're watching the great Satan of Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal Football Club, taking on those fading giants of German football, Bayern Munich.
Hey, well, that dives us into news and notes really well, Wes.
Wow, Unai Emery really looks like he's about to come out of a casket.
Because you mentioned... You mentioned... Oh, the segue is ruined. As we start news and notes, a player who is not part of this International Champions Cup, at least not right now, is Arsenal's captain. Or it was Arsenal's captain, I guess. Laurent Koscielny was like, nah, guys, I'm not going. So, peace out, dudes. It looks like they're going to now have to get rid of him. There's apparently a couple teams in Ligue 1 who might be... Yes, Kat, thank you very much, Mittens.
Mittens, my friend!
There's a couple teams in Ligue 1 who might be interested in his services. At 33, I don't totally understand why Arsenal is desperate to keep this injury-plagued man, but I guess they still kind of want to. I will say, though, that this probably just makes it certain that he will be out the door, but as we've messaged a little bit, Wes, over the last week, Arsenal trying to build on last season that may have been a little better than expected under Unai Emery's first year at the helm. Not off to a good start right now in his second year. And this just makes things worse.
Yeah. Arsenal. Wow. Okay. The way it was put from... we've heard a lot more from the Kroenke family in the last week than we've heard in years, really, from them.
Shocking. Who knew that's what it took?
Yeah, Stan Kroenke's son is on record of making the things people are so just worked up about. They don't have any money to spend this summer. Well, as he said, I've got a Europa League squad on Champions League wages.
Yeah.
And
thank you, blonde Ozil.
Yeah, thanks, Mesut Ozil, and your fucking Nazi blonde hair.
He just can't help himself.
God almighty, man. Apparently he lost a bet to Lacazette. Buddy, I would not have paid up on that bet for shit. This guy looks like a freaking... He looks like Justin Bieber like on a meth bender.
It's like, how about I just take a picture of my dick and put it on the internet? That's better, right? That's got to be better than this.
Jesus, his dick has got to look better than his blonde head does at this point. Jesus. I mean, it's like you're Mesut Ozil. Okay, you're already completely annihilated on a basis by everyone because you're so vastly overpaid and underperforming. And now it's like, man, what can I do? Maybe I could work harder. Maybe I could learn to track back. Nope. I'm going to peroxide blonde bleach my hair and make myself a bigger laughing stock than I already am. God, and we're going to continue to collect this gigantic paycheck and hamstring my entire club. But of course, that's Arsenal's fault for giving that money. We've been railing on that since the moment they did it.
It's true. So yeah, Arsenal.
Screw you, Arsenal.
I'm worried that we're going to make so much fun of Arsenal and they're going to come out really hot and we're going to feel really stupid. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think that we're going to have that issue.
But it does worry me slightly. So we'll see what happens in the Lauren Koscielny saga. We'll see what happens and get to see who's going to be Arsenal's new captain, I guess. Definitely, though, an actual good move. And again, we mentioned this earlier in the summer, but a bit of a gazumping from what we thought was going to happen. Matthias de Ligt is not going to Barcelona. It is now officially confirmed. He will be going to Juventus. And Wes, in a summer that is not going well so far for what has become an aging Barcelona squad, if you can call it that. This is a big get for Juventus. And then obviously a team that, while they have a stranglehold right now on Serie A, they are still trying so hard to get back to claiming that Champions League trophy. And this is a fantastic signing for them.
I'll tell you, the thing right now with Juventus, now obviously De Ligt is a signing for a long time, not just a short-term fix.
Oh, yes.
Juventus are writing checks right now that they better cash in very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are paying a lot of guys, paying a lot of money. And basically they don't have to be paying all that money just to win Serie A.
Right.
Obviously, you don't bring in Cristiano Ronaldo. Just start at the top. You don't bring in Cristiano Ronaldo unless your goal is to win the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
And you know we're not going to do grades this year for the Italian league.
No.
But if we were, you know, Juventus grade would be down considerably because they didn't win the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
They have spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you can say, well, you know, hey, they get free transfers. You know what? When you really start looking at things, free transfers almost end up costing you more in the long run.
Yeah.
Than paying the big transfer fees, because you end up paying the player a lot more money. You end up paying the agent a lot more money. And they've gotten two in this summer in Rabiot and Aaron Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
They got Emery Chan a season ago. They've been really shrewd, I guess you could say, on the free agent market, which isn't something that's really taken advantage of that much in the football world.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I mean, they have put themselves in a position where, you know, they've got this talented, very expensive squad. And now they've got to live up to expectations. They've got to live up to where this squad is right now. And anyway, to get back to De Ligt, which is the story, I mean, he was the crown jewel of this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Strangely, he may not end up being the most
expensive
player that goes this summer, just because United going United.
Yeah.
It looks like we'll see when that happens. But De Ligt was definitely the crown jewel of the offseason. And for Juventus, it will be a huge get because, once again, that's a guy that you're figuring is going to be at the center of your defense for the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does develop and becomes that rock, then that will that money will go down somewhat like Liverpool paying big for Virgil van Dijk.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, if he's worth it, he's worth it. And for a fee similar to what Liverpool got Van Dijk for, that should be worth it for De Ligt. If he turns out to be that kind of player, it'll be like Van Dijk where he's worth double. So maybe not what United's going to do, where it's like, you paid what for who?
Oh, boy.
Are you mad?
Oh boy!
But he's British. Of course that's.
Oh well.
I cannot wait for that to actually happen because oh my goodness.
It's gonna be very exciting, Wes. And something else to make Wes excited. Maybe, from one great defender to another, putting that in air quotes for the listeners at home. Everton signed Man City's Fabian Delph. $10.6 million. This feels like the most Everton signing of all time, to take a guy who was like barely important to Manchester City and try to make him now an important part of your midfield. And of course, it's kind of interesting with Aston Villa jumping back up into the Premier League and Fabian going now to Everton. I can't wait to see how the crowded Aston Villa treats him when Everton comes to town. So that'll be super fun. But this feels like such a nothing signing. I mean, I guess it's not that much money in the grand scheme of things anymore, but it's such a whatever signing for Everton.
We were talking about, I jokingly said earlier that Liverpool no longer shop at the Southampton Walmart. Everton have made literally a club out of the last decade plus of shopping at just the Manchester Walmart. And not even a Manchester Walmart. They shop at Manchester Big Lots. God, it's like if there's ever a player from City or United who is no longer figured into those clubs' plans and nobody else wants him, there is such a good chance that guy's going to end up at Everton. It's not funny.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you look down the roster over the last decade, they love going for these former bank players, which, in all truth, just makes it even sweeter when we beat them. Because you brought in all the banks. The shit continues to pile up at Everton.
Still can't get a win, though.
I mean, you've got to figure with Everton that I don't think it's been a great offseason for them by any means. Still time to do some things, but last year that money got pumped in from the new ownership.
Oh yeah.
You didn't exactly spend it very frugally or very well. So it seems like it's been backed off on here, and now we've got Fabian Delph.
Yay! Please
But
get
hey,
excited.
he's got multiple Premier League medals.
It's true.
So he's a winner.
You can't buy those.
A few years ago, he was what? He played right back for him a few years ago, and he was pretty good at that. But
He was fine.
really kind of regressed this past season. So
Yeah.
hence the cut rate deal.
Speaking, how do you set me up like this? Speaking of right backs that may have regressed in the last year, Atletico Madrid have signed Tottenham's Kieran Trippier.
I'll let you have most of this, and this is a very personal one for you.
This is a very interesting signing, a man that was the sort of darling. Yes, hi Cat. Sort of the darling of England during their World Cup run back in 2018. Had been doing some good things for Spurs, taking over for Kyle Walker after he left for Manchester City. Kieran Trippier really came in and made an impact, but unfortunately over the last year, just due to injuries and just some, I think, just actually defensive regression, just couldn't have that big of an impact. It does look like Tottenham are going to be going in a different direction, whether it's Serge Aurier or Kyle Walker-Peters or someone else coming in. It didn't look like there was much of a spot left for Trippier. So unfortunately, Kieran Trippier will be moving on to Atletico Madrid. And very interesting offseason so far for Spurs. Hey, we bought people. Now we sold someone, and hey, we'll see where things go from here. There's still a lot of rumors out there, and we all know how I feel about rumors. So, but anyway, a good servant for a couple years, came over from Burnley, and was a good buy at the time. So I think a good bit of business for Tottenham to go ahead and sell him now while his price is still somewhat good, and to just not let him go to another Premier League club, but just ship him off to Spain, where hopefully we definitely don't run into him in the Champions League. So.
Yeah, I mean, Trippier, the price probably ended up being pretty good, somewhat based off maybe his World Cup performance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a good thing, I guess. I mean, for Tottenham, I think they can do better than Trippier.
Yeah.
I think he was a good servant. I think he did some good things for the club, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But I think for Tottenham to take that step they want to take next, I don't think Kieran Trippier at this point of his career is good enough to be in the first 11 of a team who wants to win the Premier League and win the Champions League.
Sure, I absolutely agree with that. And now this is one you're going to have to help me out with here, Wes, because this one sort of came out of nowhere for me, and so it's with a player I'm not all too familiar with. So I hope maybe you are a little bit. Sebastian Haller becomes West Ham's record-breaking transfer. He will be coming over from Eintracht Frankfurt out of the Bundesliga for about 50 million euros to West Ham. West Ham breaking the bank for him. So is there anything you can tell us? Shine a little spotlight on Mr. Haller coming over from Germany.
Sebastian Haller, 25-year-old Frenchman. Eintracht Frankfurt the last couple seasons scored 33 goals for him. You know, he's a good striker. Mm-hmm. He's not the elite striker. Of course, that's why he's playing for with West Ham. Luka Jovic, who of course signed for Real Madrid earlier in the window, was the real standout of that team last year. But he and Haller, I mean, they were a real combination. You look at West Ham. West Ham desperately were in need of a striker. They lost, I believe, Lucas Perez. Excuse me. They lost Lucas Perez and Donkey himself, Andy Carroll, this summer. Mercifully lost Andy Carroll. So basically, they were left with Chicharito as like their only striker.
Yeah, they also lost Marko Arnautovic, who went to China. Yeah.
Right. And this is pretty much like a direct replacement for Arnautovic.
Yeah.
He's a good age. He's got a good pedigree. He was good in the Europa League, which, I mean, that's the level that right now West Ham are trying to get to.
Absolutely.
Or potentially get themselves into the Europa League and kind of take that next step, hopefully move up the table some in the Premier League. So for Haller, I mean, anything can happen at the end of the day, but I think it's a good signing for him. It does show some ambition. They go, they spent £45 million. Mm-hmm. And that's sure, that's chump change for if you're in Manchester. But that's more expensive than Fabinho was for Liverpool.
Yeah, and I will also say, just reading up a little bit about this, it seems like Haller didn't want to go necessarily to a team that wasn't in the Champions League. So I'm sure West Ham had to pay a little more than maybe was required to get his services for that.
Sure, and I mean, they had West Ham had thought they were in a good position to maybe get Celta Vigo's Maxi Gomez, a very exciting young striker out of Spain, and they at the last minute they didn't get him. It happens, but I think for them to go in and get a guy like Sebastian Haller, I think that's a good pickup for West Ham. I think West Ham have done some pretty good business here the last few transfer windows. I think they've got a manager in place in Pellegrini who, for West Ham, that's about as good as you're going to do at this point. The guy's, I mean, he's won the Premier League. He's been to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The man knows what he's doing. He's not a bad manager at all. and you've got to go out. You got to get them some weapons.
Mhm.
I think they've done a pretty good job to try to improve themselves, and I would still assume West Ham have some more business to do this summer. But I mean, if I was a Hammers fan, thank God I'm not. I would be excited about going to my Olympic Stadium. Which, did you know they had the Olympic Stadium?
What?
Yeah, I didn't know if you heard that or not.
Never heard that.
But I'd be excited to go to that Olympic Stadium and see hopefully the next evolution of West Ham.
Here you go. Well, our last story tonight. Hey, it's a feel good story. It's a feel good story. You know what? We've given Mike Ashley a lot of shit on this show, but you know what? Yeah, he lost Rafa Benitez, and you know what he said? Guys, I gotta do right by this club. I gotta go out and find the best manager available who is going to lead Newcastle into the top half of the table and beyond, get up into one of those Europa spots, challenge for the top 4, and he settles on Steve Bruce. Newcastle have signed Steve Bruce to a 3-year contract after he left Sheffield Wednesday.
Steve fucking Bruce.
I can't believe this.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, this is most Newcastle.
That's true. That's fair.
I mean, let's put it this way. They were turned down by Sam Allardyce.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Steve Bruce. I mean, we know about Steve Bruce by now. The guys at Manchester United has shit the bed in multiple decent sized
Hull.
jobs
Yeah.
over the years. Has been out of the Premier League for a while now. Let's take a quick look at the Steve Bruce managerial career. Birmingham, Wigan, Sunderland, Hull, Aston Villa, Sheffield fucking Wednesday. He got that job back in January.
392 matches he's been in charge of a club. 110 wins, 109 draws, 173 losses. If that doesn't spell Newcastle, I don't know what does.
His best ever stint was with Crystal Palace, which he was there from May to November. He coached 18 matches. He won 11. He was 11th
Hey,
at that point.
wait, then why did he leave?
Went to Birmingham.
Oh, well, yeah.
Who the hell knows? Where he was 170 and 100.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's Steve Bruce, man. I mean, he didn't do bad at Sheffield Wednesday. 7 wins, 3 losses to 8 draws. We remember at Aston Villa, he was nothing special at Aston Villa. I mean, it's just, God, we talk about the retreads, and this is such a retread. But the problem is it's Steve Bruce, and he's like pretty much like a garbage retread. I mean, once again, Sam Allardyce. At least Sam Allardyce, you know what you're getting. You know you're going to be solid. But the thing is, to me, I don't even want to go for a second. You're past that. You should be past that. You're coming off of Rafa fucking Benitez here.
Yup.
Of course, when Liverpool replaced Rafa Benitez, they did it with Roy Hodgson. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Teams just, after Rafa leaves, it's like, what the fuck do we do now? Let's go hire somebody who completely sucks ass.
Oh, man.
Oh, to me, Newcastle have, at this moment, and apparently Steve Bruce is going to be given 90 to 100 million pounds to go spend in the transfer market. Oh,
Sure.
my God. This is going to, this, I feel so bad for fans of Newcastle United, who are great fans. They have a great ground. They have a historic club. And just when it looks like things could be turning, you know what? 6 weeks ago, We were talking Middle Eastern take. We were talking Newcastle are going to be the next group to try to fight their way into that Big Six.
Yeah.
And 6 weeks later, they hire Steve fucking Bruce.
Man.
Sorry, Newcastle.
Yeah.
I kind of like you guys. I mean, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and do this.
No, they didn't. Mike Ashley did this.
Yeah. It's the opposite of Dumb and Dumber. You know, Dumb and Dumber, just any dumber. You go and do something like this, totally redeem yourself.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Mike Ashley, just when I thought you couldn't get any dumber, you proved me wrong.
Wow.
Sell that damn club. Those people deserved better.
There you go.
Could be worse. It could be Sunderland.
Yeah, it's true, I guess. Ah, Wes, let's hit the watch for. What are you watching in the week that was, the week that will be? Maybe you can give a good recommendation to some Newcastle fans who need something better to watch.
I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah, how you liking it?
Yeah, I got through season 1. It was a good season. Like you said, it really got going late on.
You like that twist?
I did. Not to rehash too much for you folks, because, I mean, this is kind of an older show at this point.
Yeah.
Not to rehash too much, but you can kind of tell that it's like about partway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they decided, hey, you know what? Instead of kind of having our own independent story stuff over here, we're going to keep this, but also we're going to tie this shit in with the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, it totally kind of started moving in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing, you know, if they keep going on it, I'm down with it.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing they will. But, yeah, I mean, it was, it's been a fun show. Like I said, I'm into season 2 now. Poor Fitz.
Oh. Fitzsimmons gets put through the ringer in this show.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun little show. I'm digging it. Something good to watch on the old Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Bradshaw family trip through the Marvel universe,
Yes.
we just watched Civil War the other night.
Oh, one of the greats.
Well, I'll give you an update on the. Pete was pissed 10 minutes in that Robert E. Lee and Ulysses S. Grant were not featured in this movie. When he heard Civil War, he thought we were going to talk Appomattox Courthouse. Oh, Pete, this is Marvel. He once again reminded me, as he has every so far, you know this ain't real. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks. I kind of figured it out.
I didn't know that. I could have figured it out when half the world's population didn't die spontaneously.
Oh, well, he doesn't know about that part yet.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure he'll really tell me how unreal.
Oh, yeah. I don't know anybody who got snapped. This ain't realistic at all.
This didn't really happen. Thank you. This ain't historically accurate.
Yeah.
I kind of figured things.
Oh.
Don't you want to go somewhere else and watch something else and leave this to me and Lynn? Dude, Lynn is.
That's
she
great.
was so upset the other night over Cap and Iron Man having a falling out.
Oh.
Lynn is totally Team Iron Man, by the way.
Oh, of course.
She has been Team Iron Man since like day one.
He's
Loves her some Robert Downey Jr.
She hasn't seen Endgame yet, has she?
No, oh god, no. Here's the thing. The way this whole thing started, she wanted to see Endgame.
Uh-huh.
She's like, oh, don't you want to take me to see Endgame? And I'm like, you haven't watched the other one. She's like, well, so can I just watch it? I'm like, absolutely not.
Not even close.
I'm like, no, God, no, I'm not going to take you to watch a 3-hour Endgame with you having what's going on. I'm like, we're starting from the beginning. We're starting with Captain America, the First Avenger. We're going through every Marvel movie. Then, we will watch Endgame.
Yes.
So, as I said, we have gone through, we're through Civil War. I think we've got 8 total left now.
Okay.
She's, oh my God, I can't believe we watched so many. Our next one to watch is going to be Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Which I've already kind of wondered. To me, Doctor Strange is a tough one to get through.
It's just weird.
It is. Now, the first half of it is really good.
Yeah.
And then, like, when they get into the battle scenes and they're teleporting everywhere, even I can't really figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, but you gotta watch Doctor Strange because he's really important in Infinity War.
Yes.
It's like, just get through it for Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then after that, let me take a quick look at my.
I imagine you have still Black Panther.
Oh, yeah. Oh well, then I told Doctor Strange and it gets really good.
Yeah.
Like, because that's going to be Homecoming, Ragnarok, Panther, Infinity War will be the next 4 after that.
It's really good.
So, and Doctor Strange, like I said, it's not bad. It's just I wasn't the comic book nerd, so I don't because he's the Doctor Strange. But I know, once again, I know that he's so uber important as we go forward.
I'm very interested to see, just because Marvel origin stories aren't always the best. I'm very interested to see what they can do with him in what I assume will be a sequel that we'll find out about this weekend. So,
I've heard, just on the Marvel base, I've heard that they have greenlit a 4th Thor movie.
Oh, now is that a Thor?
And it'll be the same director from Ragnarok.
Is that going to be an Asgardians of the Galaxy movie?
Now that's something we gotta wait and see because it's supposed to be like a separate from Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which you have to assume he's going to be in Guardian 3.
Yeah.
I mean the way we ended up from Endgame, but apparently it's going to be, I cannot say the guy's name who directed it.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, but apparently he's going to be the one who's going to do the 4th Thor movie. So will it be an Asgardians of the Galaxy? Could it be, as I've seen thrown out there, could it be like the return and rebuilding of Asgard?
Maybe.
I mean, there's a lot to go there, and we saw from Waititi that he can make a phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Ragnarok was great. Ragnarok was so good, and really, I think Ragnarok saved the Thor character.
Yeah.
Thor, I thought up until Ragnarok, Thor was so much better, like in the ensemble Avenger movies.
Yeah.
Because the original Thor was fine.
Yeah.
Dark World was there is one of the shittier of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I must have to say. I mean, it had some important things in it.
Oh, yeah.
They all got some important things in them.
Yeah, you still have to watch it because of Infinity War. That's why that's why they did it. So you have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, for Endgame.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have to know what. But at the same time, and I mean, it was the introduction.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been some movies in this little run watching it with the parents where I'm like, okay, listen, I'm just gonna tell you ahead of time, this is not a great movie.
No.
But we must soldier through. And fortunately, the last one I kind of have to say that for is Doctor Strange.
And Doctor Strange, I don't even think is that bad, all things
Yeah,
considered.
but it's not that bad. Like I say, it's weirdly confusing.
Yeah, no.
The last quarter of that movie. So, it's like I told my mom, I was like, look, you're just going to have to kind of soldier through one more.
Dormammu's really weird.
And now she's been a trooper for all of them. I think right now the only one that really that enjoyable was Hulk.
Oh, you even watched the Hulk movie? I've never even seen the Hulk movies.
Yeah, with Edward Norton.
Did you do the Eric Bana one too, or just the Edward Norton one?
No, just the Edward Norton.
Okay.
That's the direct MCU one.
Gotcha.
And I think just one part of that, I think it would have been at this point if it had been Ruffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the biggest thing is, you have a different actor from going. So, and it just wasn't. Yeah, it was kind of shit.
Yeah.
Some of those earlier ones were not the thing ever, and Hulk certainly wasn't. Dark World certainly wasn't. But, man, we're about to hit a really good stretch.
Well, now here's a question. Are you going to show her Ant-Man and the Wasp before or after Infinity War?
After.
Okay.
Because you've got to take into account that, you've got to take into account that it's almost like a flashback.
Yeah. Okay.
because of the post credit. Because if she saw that, she wouldn't know what the hell happened in the post credit.
Yeah, no, that would be a very big what the fuck moment.
Captain Marvel, yes, Captain Marvel. You probably should have watched it as like the second or third movie of the whole series.
Potentially, yeah.
But it's got that post credit, and at that point, you've got enough character familiarization with everyone else,
right?
And the fact that we didn't see Scott Lang in Infinity War.
That's true. For good reason.
He was very notable by his absence. So that will fill in. Whoa, why didn't we see Scott in Infinity?
Yeah.
So that'll fill in that question. And once again, after watching Infinity War, we said it when it came out. Ant-Man and Wasp was like the breath of fresh air that we just needed.
Yeah.
It's like, decompress from Infinity War, because you can't go straight from Infinity War to Endgame, or else you'd just be like so damn somber and sad.
Yeah.
You gotta have something to laugh in between, and thankfully Scott Lang does that.
Yeah.
Yeah. She really enjoyed Ant-Man.
I think Ant-Man is a nice, fun movie and movie series, and that's because of Paul Rudd is amazing.
And Paul Rudd gives it that levity.
Yeah.
And Thor turns around and gives you
Ragnarok's so good.
So, and you were kind of missing some Guardians.
Yeah.
So now that we've gone on a Marvel tangent for minutes, because that's just what we do, and we still haven't broken down Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, Spider-Man Far From Home is so fucking good.
Oh, I loved it. Didn't you love it?
So did you... Now, here's my question. Did you know Mysterio... Oh, sorry. Spoilers, everyone, for Far From Home here for a minute.
It's been out for a few weeks, so, figure you probably should have seen it by now.
That's true. It's Marvel rules at this point. Did you know Mysterio was the bad guy coming in?
No.
Okay.
I think to me, I kind of picked up just from watching stuff that he was going to be a bad guy, because why would you have Jake Gyllenhaal suddenly just introduced like this?
Right.
And I mean, just, he was too white bread. He was too good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was too likable and too good to not have a dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was just wrapping up too easily. So I figured we were going to have a twist there, but damn it, for once I actually liked Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. I had the somewhat misfortune of knowing who Mysterio kind of is in the comics, and he's very similar. He's basically like an illusionist who does a lot of prop work, and I think he has some sort of gas that like can do that sort of make people have visions and shit like that.
Visions?
Yes.
Is he back with David Wagner?
So I knew going in that there was gonna be something that was like the twist. I believed the parallel Earth thing though. I actually did believe that. I just thought he was gonna be like, I'm pissed because I couldn't save my family, and so now I want to like rule over this Earth instead or whatever. I didn't think that was going to be bullshit, but it is bullshit. Since
I mean, with that moment, it was like this huge, like, oh my god, we've got the parallel universe moment, and then oh yeah, we're just fucking with you. We're acting.
Yeah.
We're acting and playing with gadgets.
Well, especially because he drops the 616 line, which is in the comics. That's what this Earth is. It is Earth 616. So we're like, wait, this is what we're doing. We're actually doing parallel universes. And it's like, nah, fuck that shit.
It's like, nah, we were just screwing these guys.
So one person, I did see somebody made it a good point though, that in Endgame, the Ancient One, when she's talking to Banner, does talk about timelines and branching. So there's maybe a possibility that sort of thing does exist, just not in Spider-Man. So,
just not at this point, which is what we thought we were getting.
Good movie. Fuck those end credit scenes. Holy shit.
I saw it first, and of course I was texting you. I'm like, I'm not giving you spoilers.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, that one.
When,
oh man.
when they said when the news guy comes on and it's like, we have this video from blah 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 blah, and it comes from
J.K. Simmons.
when the guy said from like noted right wing conspiracy site thedailybugle.com, I was like, is this gonna be fucking J.K. Simmons? Holy shit, it's J.K. Simmons doing J. Jonah Jameson again. That's insane. Oh my god, I can't believe they got him again. That's so awesome. So I was so. What was the other one? Now I've forgotten the other one though. Oh, the scrolls.
Yeah, the scrolls popping up and you know, oh my god, what was great about that was like there were little parts during the movie because you know you kind of have this feeling sitting there watching it like you know Maria Hill. I was thrilled to see the Maria Hill character.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And get a nice little role in it. But you know, you were like Maria and Fury. It's almost like they're a little detached.
Yeah.
But it's like you know, you don't really think about it that much. But then when you really go back and look at it, you're like they're a little detached. And there was a moment where he was mentioning other Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Well, what about Captain Marvel?" And Fury said, "Do not." Basically, to paraphrase, do not utter that name.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait a minute, why has he got such an issue with?
I did think that was really weird too.
But then now you know because it's like, oh well, it was the scroll.
But why would? So that's what I'm curious about. Why would they be angry at her?
I don't think they were so much angry, but it's like,
yeah,
it's like we know what we get when we do.
Yeah, that's true.
So you know, but then when you look back and now I kind of see a few of these little moments. It's like now it makes sense because normally Fury and Hill wouldn't react like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you know?
Yeah, that was cool.
Do you know potentially where Nick Fury is?
He's in space somewhere.
So there is a very good possibility, from what I've read and from what I kind of know too, that he may be starting a project known as Sword, which is basically S.H.I.E.L.D., but for extraterrestrial threats. And
Intergalactic S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep, and it's based on like a spaceship it's basically sort of like in Earth's orbit between Earth and the Moon. So there is a possibility that that's where Fury is he's off.
That was where the Skrull ship was to start with.
Yeah. So it's very possible that he is starting Sword to bring us more space fun in the future.
And you look at some of the mooted projects coming out. I mean, there's another one like it's a space group.
The Eternals. Yep.
The Eternals. So I mean, you know that could make sense. I mean, you've got the Guardians. You've got Thor still. You've got Captain Marvel out there. You've got more of that extraterrestrial group. And now, you know, it's kind of like you said, you know, the Spider-Man is like, you've been to space.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, we've kind of broken that wall, I guess, between, well, it's just Earth and it's just space. You know, we've broken that wall where now, I mean, they're gonna intermingle more.
Yeah. And
it's not just Earth-based issues that S.H.I.E.L.D. has to deal with. You know, it is obviously intergalactic, so.
It is gonna be crazy. So that's gonna be very fun. It's gonna be very fun. But yeah, Spider-Man: Far From Home. I saw a few people saying they didn't really like the direction Peter was going in. I think those people are idiots. Some people are saying like, oh well, you know, Peter Parker's the everyman. He's a working class hero, and he gets stranded in the Netherlands. By the way, I burst out laughing when that scene happened. That was great.
Yes. Oh, I knew you'd enjoy it. I knew you'd said that. If I had heard the word Virgil van Dijk, I was going to just...
so great. But some people were saying, so he's like, okay, so he gets stuck in the Netherlands, and what does he do? He calls his rich friend Happy, to come save him. And I'm like, but that gets built up over 2 movies plus. Like there is a relationship there, and we've established that Peter built his suit and his webbing like on his own, so he's very intelligent. Like it's not like yes, and there's this whole through line of Tony kind of being a father figure and a mentor and trying to, I mean, a big part of the first movie, Spider-Man movie, was Tony seeing in Peter things he didn't like about himself and him not wanting to be that, and trying to put him on the right course and seeing, hey, this kid's got a gift and a great mind and a great willingness to help people. Let me see if I can direct that into a good path. And that's why he leaves him the glasses. It's why he has Happy looking over him and potentially banging Aunt May. It's it's all that. So I because I saw somebody was like, oh, now he's a tech bro. I'm like, he's not a tech bro. He's just very intelligent, and he got, you know, this guy to give him a suit, but that doesn't change who he is. He's still friends with Ned. Like that doesn't change by the end of the movie. Ned and he are still friends. He and MJ get super close. So I don't know. I don't agree with that idea whatsoever. I really like Peter Parker. I really like Tom Holland though. So
I agree. I like Tom Holland.
He's very very good.
He's grown on me.
Oh, so much. Anything else you want to mention about Spider-Man right now?
It's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
He's been exposed. That part just absolutely blew me away.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to go there.
I thought we were going to get to where, you know, okay, it made Spider-Man look like a bad guy, and Mysterio kind of looked like a martyr.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, they're going to leave us with that. But, you know, so how's Peter going to deal with that, you know, with Spider-Man being hated? But now it's like, oh, well, now we know it's Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, that's what really kicked that right over the edge was, oh, and by the way, here's your Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough.
Oh my goodness. So, yeah. I mean, that's obviously going to have to go somewhere.
Oh, yeah. So, San Diego Comic-Con is this weekend. There is a Marvel panel there. The only person that's confirmed to be there is the main guy, Kevin Feige. So, who knows who else will show up. I'm sure we will be finding out a lot more because we don't really know what the next movie is. We know there are sequels coming out, but we don't, as far as I don't know what the next movie is in line. So we'll just have to see, and I'm sure this weekend will be very, very exciting for those in attendance.
I mean, I guess the biggest, possibly the next one release is going to be the Black Widow origin story.
Possibly, yeah, depending on when they shot it. If they have shot it, yeah.
That's just going to be interesting. I mean, with obviously her demise.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's cool to get an origin story. But, like, what else is it going to lead to? To me, not to go too far off on that tangent.
Sure.
To me, you know, just rewatching Civil War the other night, I caught a little moment that I had not caught before, where she had an interaction with Winter Soldier and said, "You don't remember me?"
Oh.
When was that actually in Winter Soldier? I can't remember which one. I think it was this where I can't remember. It was one of these that I've seen recently where she looked at Winter Soldier like, "You don't recognize me? You don't remember me?" And obviously we know she was KGB, so there was a relationship there.
Interesting.
So I would almost have to figure if we're doing an origin story on her that we're going to see some Sebastian Stan there, and we're going to get some more background on the Winter Soldier program.
Yummy Sebastian Stan.
Oh, love Sebastian Stan. You know Winter Soldier's like basically my favorite.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge fucking Winter Soldier fan, bro.
When you said about Black Widow's demise, I just thought about that opening part of Far From Home, though, when there's that super shitty slideshow of the people that died in Endgame. I was just like, are we really doing this? Oh, those remind me so much of WHIG, those classroom news moments from the 2 Spider-Man movies. Yeah. It's so bad. That's why I said it hurt my soul to watch it, because it's so cringe, but it feels so close to me. So close to me.
I mean, but it's supposed to be cringe.
Oh yeah, no, it's perfect. It's exactly what it should be. But I feel it on another level than oh god, oh no. Oh, it's great. It's a great movie. Go watch Far From Home. Speaking of great things, Wes Bradshaw, something good happened with wrestling recently. Didn't you get to go watch some wrestling?
No.
Oh shit, then I totally misunderstood your post. Whoops.
Oh, what did I post?
What did you go to Greensboro for?
Oh, I didn't go to Greensboro. Callie went to Greensboro to JoJo Siwa.
Oh. So I totally
That's literally the farthest thing from...
Totally misunderstood the post.
I don't know if you know who JoJo Siwa is.
Nope.
Well, I'll tell you what, while I talk a little bit so Elite Raw, you can just Google JoJo and see the sweet bit of hell that I got to as I was working this week and her mother took her.
Joelle Joni JoJo Siwa.
Yes.
Okay, you.
Just, all I have to say is look. Dozen different buttons.
You read this. You go through So Elite Raw. I'm gonna read this Wikipedia page.
Yeah, folks, I'm not gonna lie to you. I am 95% out of the product right now. It is not tickling me fancy. I will give it up to WWE for I'm hearing they're starting to maybe try to turn back toward a TV-14 product, which could reinvigorate my interest. Because we can get out of some of this white bread stale bullshit that they've been doing over the last few years. But then, just when you think, well, maybe we're turning... No, Brock Lesnar wins the... Extreme Rules this weekend. Okay. I can live with Brock having it, but you've got to give me something coming up. You've got to give me a Rollins-Brock match. And I believe that's what we're going to get at SummerSlam. Rollins turned around won a battle tonight, so he will get the title shot at SummerSlam. So I'm guessing it's going to be Rollins-Brock, which could be actually super freaking cool. And if you let Rollins get that win over Brock Lesnar. So yeah, we'll look forward to that. Bray Wyatt made his... It came out, attacked Finn Balor. He's been doing some really interesting stuff in the vignettes with this. It's been almost like a really creepy, like children's show thing that he's been doing. And that's kind of come to fruition. So we'll see what happens there. But that's been neat. That's been interesting. It seems like there's something else. Oh yeah, they're having back a lot of the old guys is coming up Monday on Raw. Apparently Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels all supposed to be there Monday night. So, I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan in an arena together. We haven't seen Hulk ever since he uttered the infamous line that he uttered in that interview. So apparently his purgatory's coming to an end. Kevin Owens is doing some cool things, fighting Shane McMahon. He's been dropping Stone Cold Stunners recently.
Ooh. Okay.
Cool. Like Kevin Owens. Stone Cold Stunners. We're doing good stuff here. So, like I said, folks, I'm keeping an eye on it. Still, we're probably going to get a September or October premiere for AEW on TNT. At that point, I might kind of be jumping back in just to see what the product's offering me at that time.
SmackDown.
But I hate to say it, that's kind of all I got for you at the moment. So, don't hate me. Check out your wrestling. I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm just saying at the moment, they're not really capturing beats. They're not getting a lot of love at the moment like they have. So here you go, Soylent Grong. And Ed now knows about JoJo.
It's worse than you'd think, but better than you'd imagine. That's what I'm going to go.
That's actually kind of, she's not the absolute worst. I mean, it's not the most cringe-inducing music of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to understand that it's like marketed toward my kid, which I have a 7-year-old daughter.
Right.
It's definitely marketed toward her age demographic.
Mm-hmm.
According to my ex-wife, it was the line of 1,000 bows last night. And I mean, it was like 9,000 people at this concert, and probably 6,000 of them were 10-year-old and younger girls.
Sure.
So, I mean, the girl has a market. It's kind of like I told someone, I'm fine with it. It's not my music I care for, but I'm fine with it as long as this girl in the next year or so doesn't drop a sex tape or I see a video of her doing blow in a lost.
That's fair.
If you stay away from that, JoJo, I got no issues.
There you go. Apparently she caused a bit of an uproar in the United Kingdom with those bows.
Those bows are something, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
There you go. So, hey, this show is also something. So, thanks for sticking around and listening to us gab about, whatever the hell we feel like for most nights.
We kind of did a little more than we thought we were.
Yeah. Yeah, hey.
We were a little more in depth on our bottom five.
Yeah.
We kind of have an impromptu Marvel night.
Yeah.
That wasn't planned. We weren't really planned it.
I really didn't. It just happened. That's how you know how much we actually love it. That we will just spontaneously spend 15 minutes talking about Marvel because we love them. They're great movies. Except for Dark World, not so much.
Dark World, the original Hulk. I'm playing. The live version Lion King.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna see that, and then God dang it, what's that other movie called? I've been wanting to see it forever. It's gonna be an Oscar award winner about the alligators, Florida.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Crawl.
Yeah.
Crawl, that's it. Yeah, I can just see this movie sweeping award season.
Absolutely. What better thing than alligators eating people? It's gonna be great.
Category 5 hurricanes, Florida, and alligators. I mean, what? I mean, nothing goes together quite like that. It's just like lamb and...
It's basically...
Maybe as you'll say, spaghetti and the meatball.
It's basically a documentary.
Oh my god, I can't wait. I've been waiting months to see this movie. I just hope it's still good. I hope it makes it more than 2 weeks.
Oh, man. We'll see. So, anyway, thank you for joining us here for episode 271. As always, want to give a shout to our presenters, including NGSC Sports, Alicia's Pills and Things, Cool Eye Cover, and the Ultimate Sports Channel. You can find them on the social media, as well as us on Twitter as a collective. We are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, The All New Sports Show. You can email us at allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. So we'll be back next week for episode 272. We'll talk about that mid-table. It will be our mid-table season in review show. It'll be great. We'll, of course, talk about the most important tournament in the summer, the International Champions Cup. We'll definitely talk about that, I'm sure. And any more big transfer news, because there's, I'm sure, some big transfer news coming as we get closer and closer to deadline day for the summer. So with that, Wes, anything else to add before we get out of here?
I mean, Ed, how could I go through an entire podcast and not think to mention that the now 6-time champions of Europe
We almost made it.
on American soil right now, Ed. As we, Jurgen Klopp is within 1,000 miles of.
Oh my god!
I mean, God, how could I almost forget this? Liverpool are on their American. They were deemed not good enough for it, apparently. Not a big enough draw by any means. No, they were playing 3 matches though. historic stadiums. It's an interesting historic stadium tour. This Friday, they're taking on Borussia Dortmund in South Bend, Indiana, at Rockney Stadium on the campus of Notre Dame. That'll be next week. They will play a pair of matches. They play Sevilla at Fenway Park, and then they play Sporting Lisbon at Yankee Stadium. I think, or I might have those two backwards. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Liverpool are going to play three friendlies, basically three friendlies. No cups on the line until that big one, the Community Shield. So that's right, folks. Liverpool are in America. I'm going to sleep so well knowing that me and Jurgen are dreaming under the same moon, dreaming of red glory. Because, Ed, as I had to recently Liverpool became the champion of Europe.
I know. It's like Andy once said, babe, when you look up at night and see the moon, know that I too am also looking up. Not at the same moon. That's impossible.
It's possible.
I love you, Chris Pratt. I love you so much.
Jesus, yes.
So for McCall and Crime, Wes Bradshaw, I am Edward Green. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Foreign Affair Podcast. Were you snapping to get my attention, or just...
I was snapping at the dog to get his...
Fair enough. Thanks for joining us on the Foreign Affair Podcast, everybody. We'll catch you guys next week. Stay safe and enjoy the football.
And good night, South Bend. Oh, Jurgen is in your town. Lucky devils.
So, I actually...
Or whatever.
in one of the other Discord servers I'm in, I was just browsing through chat one day, and somebody was like, yeah, I can get tickets for this soccer match that's nearby me.
Our new sponsor at NGSC Sports is Cool Eye Cover, and as you can imagine, we are talking sunglasses. The perfect time for our sponsor is summer, as we all need those sunglasses. Our sponsor even has a great deal as an NGSC Sports partner. If you email esgmarketingsolutions@gmail.com, they will give you a 50% discount on your first pair of sunglasses. Visit www.cooleyecover.com and choose your glasses to receive the discount, and email esgmarketingsolutions@gmail.com for the discount coupon. We thank Cool Eye Cover for joining NGSC Sports as our new sponsor. This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.